Hello, everybody, and welcome to another podcast with Anne-Marie
and Amelia
from the Dog Classroom. This week, we're going to talk about seniors. Seniors being small, tulips kicking around here, large. Mm-hmm. The reason why I think I wanted to choose this one is especially also because of the weather change.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Sure. So I want to comment on a few things as far as the weather, which could be a small thing, but also an age thing. So when we relate to seniors, I would say that the majority of people look at seniors as being over 7 years of age.
Even for small dogs?
Even for small dogs, though sometimes small dogs, it'll be sort of more 8 or 9, mm-hmm. right? But some of the changes, I guess physical changes, may be happening after 7 years of age. And the other thing is a lot of the food companies, when you say change to a senior diet, say over 7 years old, right? And I think that's what's related to. Have we adjusted that number over the years since we do have dogs living a little bit longer? I don't think we have, but just sort of looking at that time frame.
I noticed also now there's senior and there's geriatric.
Same thing to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, same thing, different word, sort of thing. But again, I think it's, I don't want to say dear to our heart, but Stark's here, which is Amelia's dog. Mm. And then we brought Frolic here. She's my oldest. So Stark is, you said 13, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then Frolic is 10, and they're both mutts, or not necessarily purebred. Tulip's kicking around here too. She's 8, so she's sort of on the borderline. We just want to talk about, I don't want to say how to coexist, but how to live happily and support their needs, mm-hmm. right? I think a lot of time been talking a lot is when we look at training, we think, once the dog's 4, 5, 6, they know everything, they're settled, that sort of thing. And then we're not necessarily asking as much. Mm-hmm. But once they get older, there's cognitive changes that we don't physically recognize. Right. And I almost think it's important to revisit the training, the little things. It's just to keep their brain sort of working. But it's also important to adjust activity level a little bit.
And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with is their dog starts to slow down, and there are changes that we're going to talk about. And how do we address that? Like, how do we keep them, active without going for maybe the 10K run that they're used to going on because they're starting to have some pain or some arthritis or those sorts of changes.
So when we personally have changes, whether we pulled a muscle, rolled our ankle or whatever, we naturally adjust that. But I think sometimes people don't necessarily take that into consideration as the dogs get older. I find the expectations are still the same, mm-hmm. with the physical part of it, right?
So that also leads me to think of some of the changes that we've had in the house.
Right, okay, so let's go there.
Yeah. I have noticed with Stark, that he's having a little bit more trouble getting around for certain situations, or that he's hesitant to do certain things that maybe he did before. So we've made some changes.
Okay, so why don't you describe those changes so maybe some of the viewers can relate?
Okay, so I think one of the big ones is there are carpets and carpet runners and yoga mats all over my house, which I think is important for young dogs too. Like, nobody wants their dog to be sliding around and get injured, but...
Right, because younger dogs don't quite have body awareness yet, but not to say older dogs lose body awareness, but they're just sometimes not as sturdy.
And I think with getting the balance, if they do slip, is a little bit harder. Like, you'll see them sort of splay out and try to get back up. Yeah. Other things with the slippery floors, like the stairs. I've put straps on my stairs.
Okay, what do you call them?
Treads, little carpet runner things that stick to the stairs.
And I've actually talked about those a lot. So the thing is, you have hardwood stairs, right?
They're tile.
They're tile, okay, which can be shiny, right, and stressful to some of the dogs. So literally these are pieces of carpet,
Yeah.
right? And they have like a rubber on the back.
Yes.
Yeah, because my mom is looking at removing the carpet on her stairs, and she even herself, as well as the dogs, are worried about slipping on hardwood. And you don't have to, attach the runner anymore. It's actually a good
Yeah, no,
thing
it's
to
just
have.
individual stairs. You just stick them on.
Yeah.
Got them on Amazon for like $90 or something.
Yeah.
And then also, like at the top and the bottom of the stairs, I have mats too now, because when they sort of get themselves up or get themselves down the stairs, then they need to find their balance again.
Yeah, traction.
Yes,
And
traction.
they notice the difference in flooring, like the change in flooring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other things that I've done, I have built a ramp outside of my deck
Yeah.
area.
Instead of the stairs?
The stairs are on one side, the ramp is on the other
Right.
side.
Okay.
So I do have a gate now blocking the stairs, so
Okay.
they don't go down the stairs unless that's what I want them to do.
Right.
But the ramp is there. That was actually originally built for Holly.
Right.
Because she was 13 at the time when we built the ramp, and she was struggling to do the stairs to go outside.
Yeah.
So instead of that, off of like the deck out of the doorway, then there's just a straight way down for her to go.
Yeah.
And now actually he quite likes it, and Nuggie uses it too. She's small, and stairs are hard for her too. So.
Yeah. So let's go back to the stairs for a second, because I can sort of picture it, and I just want you to think of what these two older dogs are looking at is vision change as well. So it's not only do they have the ability to sort of gauge the stairs and go down, they don't see them as well.
Right.
Right. So it can also be a stressful thing or tripping hazard, or what I want to say is like depth perception. It's hard to see it. So if your dog all of a sudden won't do the stairs, right, I think more it can possibly be vision changes, but then I also agree with the fact that they're worried of slipping. The other thing is hallways too, sometimes and I mentioned already, like the floor changes as well. So having things, having the lights on, right, having things sort of bright and being able to see instead of anticipating that they can sort of motor around as well. I think the other thing is, if we're talking about household stuff, is not only having, sort of more lights and visual, is they get used to the floor plan, I guess is what
so
I'm
if you get a
saying.
new chair or something, they may bump into it, or
Yeah. Or they're not able to gear it as much. But then again, already Amelia, moved into a new house a few years ago. So it was sort of relearning how to maneuver around the household. The more stairs you have, right?
Yeah.
Or even into the house. I find a lot of dogs in general may have issues with wooden stairs outside, but inside they're fine with what we just said, carpeted stairs.
Also the stairs that don't have a back on them.
Yes.
So when we bring out my little stair thing, we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
Like he's antsy to do stuff. So we could talk about inside ramps.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I actually brought one with me. This is a new
Okay.
one that we have. So one of the changes that I've made with having a senior dog is I now have ramps and stairs everywhere. So I bought this one, and it is a ramp that can also be stairs.
Yeah.
So let's talk about training it.
Okay, so 1 second, different places you can use the ramp is possibly, if the dogs like to go up onto the couch, if they're loud, if the dog likes to go up onto your bed, you can put it in and out of the vehicle is huge for those of us that take our dogs places, because the worry is they don't have sort of the muscle conditioning as they used to have in the hind end to sort of jump up. I'm talking more like an SUV.
Yeah.
The other worrisome is when they're jumping out, that they don't gauge it properly, and they're just putting all that stress really on the front part.
Yeah, and that's, the big reason why I got him the stairs initially for the vehicle, she's helping,
Yes, she is.
was because he was jumping in and out, and he was just being a goose, as I say.
Right.
So now we've tried a few different ramps and a few different stairs, and we're trying to find one that
Yeah.
he will
But I
accept.
think the bonus overall is, Stark, Frolic, Tulip have done agility.
Yeah.
They've been on different textures because that's just who we are and what we do. So I think texture-wise, it's nothing new. But what do you think, like, about the width
I think I've seen some ramps that have railings on them to sort of help them stay on there, which I've considered maybe adding to this one.
Okay.
But I think with the width, obviously lots of ramps and stuff are geared for smaller dogs to get onto furniture. Yeah. So this is the one that I bought to get onto the bed for him.
Okay.
And then I have the smaller ones, like the foam stairs for like the chairs and stuff that he gets on.
Okay.
Those are a little bit wider because they're shorter.
Oh,
and
they
he likes
are?
those
Okay.
better.
Okay.
This one I find he struggles a little bit more with, but because he has that previous training,
Yeah.
it was kind of easy to get him.
We also used it today to put him into my
car,
vehicle today. Yep.
So when I introduce my new ramps and my stairs, Tulip says, I will help. I'm using treats to just sort of encourage him to put his feet on it, right? So once he's comfortable with the texture of it, then we want to get on actually walking across it, right?
So she's probably not helping right now, is she?
That's okay.
She's quite excited about the new thing to step on.
But if I can get him to step on all four and just feel safe about it, then that's going to make it easier once we start to add some height. Good boy. Okay, search. And then this one, got to figure out which way this goes. You can add just a little bit of height and then have them sort of, just put the feet on and see what that feels like.
There we go, buddy.
Yeah. Good. And then we make it slowly higher and higher.
I also think the tread helps. I actually like this. The first ramp I bought in the day with Mabel just had the finish. It was rough, almost like sandpaper.
Yeah, this one has carpet, so I like it.
Or the other thing is if you want a makeshift, we also brought the yoga mat. Believe it or not, the dogs quite adapt to the yoga mat extremely quickly.
Yeah.
So putting the yoga mat on anything is helpful. And now they have them at the dollar store. Go grab some. Oh, okay, you're turning it into stairs.
This is super high for him, but this one also turns into stairs. He's like, I'm trying. Here, I don't want you to try.
You have nothing there, buddy, to go up on.
No, I just want to turn it into stairs a little bit so you can see sort of how it helps him to navigate. There, let's see if he'll do that. There, good boy. Yeah, Henry helps you.
The other thing, actually, what I'm just doing right now, Frolic doesn't have one on, but Stark does, is possibly, how we talk about anti-pull harnesses and so forth with some dogs. I've found a lot of senior dogs, they find it helpful with having more of a handle. Here, I find it helpful in just offering that little bit of extra support. I think I already did it when he was going up on the ramp, either on stairs, going up on things, or even just maneuvering more textures. I find it helpful if I had a little handle or being able to grab something back here.
After Stark had a knee surgery, he had a cruciate ligament tear. When he had his surgery, I actually bought a harness that had a handle on the back and a handle in the front so you could lift them.
Yeah.
I think for some dogs who really struggle with mobility, that can be helpful for getting them up and down the stairs and that sort of thing if they need it. He just prefers less material on him. He's a little bit picky that way.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move the ramp out of the way. Let's pull the yoga mat out. I just want to show you guys some exercises, trick training that ideally want you guys doing just to keep mobility. And again, you're not doing like 15 repetitions. Thank you. Just not doing like 15 repetitions, like just doing a few here or there to just keep them more agile.
Yeah,
right?
So getting sort of their modified fitness activities. And again, like these dogs have all done agility, so they've all had some fitness training in their lives. And Stark has also had his physical rehab. She wants to go back on there after his surgery. So we have done some sort of modified physical exercise for him as well.
Right. So basics going back to Sits are great, but we can add a titch more to it. So already, I'm just going to name off a few. Amelia and I are going to play around. Tulip's motoring around. She's going to jump in as well. So even just doing puppy push-ups. So if we do a stand, sit, down, back up into a stand, just doing a few of those.
Yeah.
Again, in a row. Ideally, even doing those beside us. This is also great cognitive training,
Yes.
not only physical, because the dog has to think about what hand signal I'm giving or adding a few verbals or something in there as well. Stark just did a hand target. We can also do some of those, just getting her to follow as well. Tulip, I have to say, loves her sit pretty, but honestly with these two, they don't necessarily do it as much, and when I do it at their age, I probably might let that one go. I do a little bit of say your prayers. Sometimes she's a little bit reluctant.
Yeah, that's the other thing with if they're reluctant to do cues that they know really well.
Yeah.
With our seniors, we have to consider
There.
pain, right? We have
Yeah.
to consider that something is sore. Just like as we get older, we sleep funny. Something's
Sorry,
a little
honey.
sore the next day.
Here, Fra.
Like, go see your mom.
Here.
So I know with Stark, like he's hesitant to do things that I know he knows really well.
Yeah. So
if
you
he's
just
having
let
a
it
pain
go.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to force him to do it. You could even see when he was laying down here, he would sort of get up. I find he needs to shift his weight more when he's laying down. Like
Yeah.
he's not as comfortable to lay in the same position.
Yeah.
So those are just some things that they're not being bad. They're just
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So I'm doing a spin now, which we've do that as well, right? And I'm not necessarily looking for 6 in a row, just doing one here or there. It's really good for the obliques as well as sort of keeping them moving. The other thing I'm going to try doing it sitting down here, Emil, stand, is just a little bit of a back up because I just like that hind end movement. Oh, she's sitting. Frolic, come on. Come on. Yes, there we go. There we go. I had to stand up a little bit for that one. Oh, there. Stark's doing it. Okay, the other one is I started a seniors course. The reason why I did it, honestly, is I want to encourage people to come back and, I don't want to say bond, but rebond, but actually just revisit some of the cognitive stuff and a little bit of physical activity for, I think, quality of life in a way. The other thing I want to show real quick is, so yes, we do spins, we explore different textures, we do hand targets because they're nice and simple. Stand. The other thing we've been really working on is working at shaking a paw all 4 feet.
yes.
Right.
So they help that balance and that core strength.
Right, but the other thing, I think it's huge for dogs to be able to lift a hind foot independently.
Right.
Right? So, come here. Come. Yes. So you'll also notice that I'm not like grabbing her leg and hiking it up.
Yeah.
I'm just letting her be part of it and gently lift. Yes. There we go. Okay. Another one I like is a bow.
Okay.
Okay. So again, it's just about, oh, she's going to drop. Come here.
Ta-da.
She doesn't know who to look
Yes.
for the cookies here. There we go. Tulip's just in the middle here.
Tulip's doing her own thing.
I know she is. Ta-da! Here. Do you want to do your own thing? Here.
Ta-da.
Here. Go on your mat. No, Frolic, go on the
Yeah,
bed.
that's hard for you, eh, baby.
Okay, come here.
He doesn't love the bow anymore.
There.
Tulip does.
Yeah. She's actually quite agile, I would say, for her size, but it's something we do. Like I do these every day, every few days, that sort of thing, and just do a quick little repertoire
Yeah.
of them.
So we're keeping them physically and mentally sort of sharp, and like we don't want them just because they're senior to just lay on the bed all day and do nothing. I want them to still be active with me. He still comes for walks with us, and so does Frolic, and we still go out and we do things. It's just, I know I walk a little slow for you, but he likes a slow pace. And then when he wants to run, he runs in short bursts and then slow down again. And then, so he has the freedom to do that. Other
So
things.
just to interrupt, I'm glad what Amelia's saying is, we do on-leash and off-leash walks. The bonus of an off-leash walk or even on a long line is the dog can alter their pace. You have to remember, like if you're in the zone and you're like, okay, I got to get my 5K in, you're making them walk fast. Like it's a constant trot.
Yeah.
Right? And it can be taxing. So the things to look for is if you get home and, you say you did an extra hike or that sort of thing, the dog had a nice little nap and then they're struggling to get up.
Right.
That's a concern.
Yeah.
Are they struggling to get up because they're sore? Are they struggling to get up because it's a hardwood floor and they can't grip? Those are little things ideally you should be looking for. What else let's go into the vet thing because I'm sort of going that way.
He's recently been at the vet, so I can talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
One of the things that we talked about was just some of the changes to his body. Like most older dogs will have some kind of arthritis. We know he has arthritis because of his knee.
Yeah. So Stark had a cruciate surgery.
Yes.
And they're basically prone to getting arthritis in their long term. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
For some of the smaller dogs, there's concerns about their knees. Their spines, that sort of thing. Also, their weight.
Yes.
So, obviously, Stark he's not overweight, but he's a little heavy. The reason for that is because of his medical conditions.
Right, and I want to comment on something. Keep going.
Okay.
No, I had the thought.
So with him, we changed him to a senior food that was lower calorie so he could eat more. Right. Because he is on medications that make him really hungry.
Okay, so since you meant food, I want to go there just real quick. So it's just as important for your dog when they're seniors to say, have blood work, go see the vet as it is a puppy, right? Because there can be changes that we think happen relatively quick. Vision changes, hearing changes, they can pick up on a little bit. I'm not sure where he's going. But weight is a huge one. Nutrition, because ideally, if you're putting them on even a senior diet, let's talk about that, because I did mention that in the beginning. Usually senior diets have less calories and fat because we know that the dogs aren't active.
Right.
The other thing what they have is usually better protein, so the kidney and liver don't have to work as hard to break down those proteins.
Okay.
Yeah. So I personally think senior diets are a good idea because of just overall health. The other thing I just wanted to point out about Stark is a lot of dogs, their muscle mass or the way they carry themselves changes and it starts to drop lower. So some people think that maybe they get larger, they're putting on weight, but his physique wise, his muscle mass is actually dropping a little bit, and that's just due to age. So that's something to consider. Like we look at the strip down here. Frolic honestly really hasn't shifted that much, but she shifted a little bit down here too. But these are normal changes for an older dog. Yeah.
So what else would you ask for a vet visit for a senior dog?
I think it's really important to talk about nutrition. I personally do blood work with my dogs at least every year. Every 6 months, just to see if, I don't want to say if I want to check, but as dogs get older, they may possibly have kidney or liver issues. So those would come up and I might be able to alter the diet or lifestyle to deal with those changes, where if I don't know if those changes are happening, then how am I going to alter that? Right. So I think it's just as important to have that visit, talk about mobility, definitely keeping them moving, keeping them agile, but not overdoing it. I really have to stress not overdoing it, because I feel just a lot of people sort of get in that zone and the dog has always been able to do it, right? A few other things around the home is Frolic got herself, she didn't get herself, I got her. Dad bought her a nice new dog bed. So I've actually looked at more substantial, like cushy beds or Frolic, not even beds, but I also just bought a huge area rug.
Yes.
For the family room, even for Maui, just for them to get up and down. Something that's more cushy and off the floor, so when they're getting up and down, they're not using their elbows kicking off, right? That sort of thing. But like I said, little things.
I find with Stark, he just doesn't really like the raised beds.
Okay.
So we do have a few orthopedic beds, and he'll lay on those, and he has an easier time getting up, I think, because they're not like so squishy.
Right.
Other things like changing the temperature in your house. They can't regulate
yes.
as well.
The thing is, are they hot or cold? Okay, let's go to temperature. Frolic. Let's go to, and then let's bring up the hunger issue.
Yes.
I just noticed a few other things we want to comment on too. Is, are they hot or cold? Last year, you as well as Frolic, we've started, in minus 15, 20, putting jackets on them because they're not staying as warm or regulating temperature. Okay. Or sometimes they're extremely hot and sort of pacing around as well. The other thing, what did I have here to mention is, let's talk a little bit about health and hygiene, and what we're going to do is sort of use this to summarize our seniors.
Yeah.
Health and hygiene being nail trimming, keep them trimmed. There's been one too many, she doesn't like the beeping. There's been one too many dogs where they don't like their feet touched anymore because they're sore, but the problem is then they have trouble gripping or walking, and it's actually changing the positioning of their feet.
Right.
So nail trimming, even
Nail
with
trimming
littles.
and the hair in their pads. I had his trimmed recently because it was getting a little bit slidey.
Right. Amelia brought up the teeth one, which is sort of my thing. Some dogs may need a dentistry. Okay. Again, that's one thing to talk about your vet. Small dogs are a little bit different. We're also going to do another small dog podcast. But two, I find smaller senior dogs definitely have dental issues, whether you've been brushing the teeth or not. They need a dentistry. I keep an eye on Tulip's teeth. She's actually been pretty good with genetics with her teeth. But whether you start brushing them or even have a dentistry, or just keep half an eye, because again, they are more prone to possibly tooth root abscesses that you miss a little bit as well. What else did we mention there, hun?
Well, I think to summarize, right, we talked about changes in their bodies. We talked about changes to our homes. We talked about changes to our routines, their routines.
Yeah.
So it's basically, we just wanted to do this episode to throw out there that there are going to be changes.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to
try to just be a little bit more aware of them and not necessarily ignoring them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's important to step up the training a little bit, cognitive stuff, quality of life.
Right.
But also their grooming. So maybe they're not grooming themselves as much. And again, if they're not walking as much, they have longer nails. It's really important to do a once over. Frolic has a little bump that's come up. Stark has had those as well. So get to know them. So again, that's where your vet visit comes into play. You have your list. You're like, okay, I'm concerned about this, this, and this. And ideally, I think he's thirsty.
Yeah.
Ideally, that's the best sort of place to go for information, but with us as well. And like I said, because we've done the seniors class, and what I do there is everything, honestly, we talked about. We talk about nutrition. We talk about some little exercises, how to add more cognitive behavior without having to add, major physical activity, right? We talk about scent classes. That's not sort of major physical activity. It's retrieve, like just little thing, but it's really good cognitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think overall, we just wanted to talk about how to adapt to the changes and how to look for those.
Yeah.
I think we better go get this guy some water.
I think so.
So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you.